Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. It's unacceptable, honestly.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
You women out there, y'all petty, man.
What the hell did you just say?
MMP fam, what's up? For 3 seasons, 3 years, the WNBA has been going after the Indiana fan base, the fans of Caitlin Clark, because they don't like the way they pay attention to the game. Yes, we all love Caitlin Clark, but some of us aren't delusional. We see what's going on. And I want you all to pay attention to these videos as we go through them year by year. The attack that this young lady has been under since she has come into the league. And how does the league respond? Its players respond. Its players, its front office, and its players association have all responded in the same way. And they've all tried to use racism, bigotry, misogyny as a backdrop to their attack. When they don't want to go directly at Clark, they come indirectly at Clark through the fan base. Let's pay attention.
Yeah, you know, your announcement for Athlete of the Year, like tremendous, incredible positive feedback. That's what we've seen across the board. There's always going to be some negativity. And I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sport because of just who you are and you represent the growth of this thing. And even today, earlier today, Megyn Kelly, she was saying that you were apologizing for your white privilege and the fact that you wanted to uplift Black female athletes and make sure that they were getting the shine, kind of like your pioneers were getting the shine that they deserved. And I just want to know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Yes.
Could anyone forget how the 2025 season began? Opening game tip-off. First game of the season for the Indiana Fever versus who? Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky in Gamebridge. And what happens? Nonsense, foolishness break out. Angel Reese pretends as though Caitlin Clark is Supergirl now. Slung her to the floor. Threw her down to the floor on a play. Think about this now. Angel Reese is a pretty nice sized girl. Banger. SEC. Can you imagine her being handled by Caitlin Clark like this? But this is what was alleged during the game, and they even gave Clark a flagrant 1 on this play. But what happened in the midst of this? Indiana fan was accused of saying a racial slur to Angel Reese during this entire fiasco, this entire event that we are watching, that you are witnessing right now. This is how the 2025 season started, as if the 24 season wasn't enough. They doubled down, coming after Fever Nation. Look, I'm trying to bring y'all back in order to bring you forward so you can understand what's going on in the W. Let's take a look. Prior to any investigation, when this occurred, the WNBPA releases a statement. There has been no investigation at this point, only allegations. But the WNBPA feels it must speak out immediately on this issue. Not investigate first and then weigh in. No, they're going to get ahead of the story. And this is what they had to say. The WNBPA is aware of reports of hateful comments at yesterday's game. Now, we're talking 2025, beginning of the WNBA season, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky in Gainbridge Arena. Keep in mind, Gainbridge is the epicenter for all racism regarding Caitlin Clark and her fan base. This is who is directly under attack. 2024, 2025, and we're going to see it continue in 2026 with the latest nonsense that happened this week. Let's continue. The WNBA is aware of reports of hateful comments at yesterday's game in Indianapolis and supports the WNBA's current investigation into this matter. The WNBA Players Union said in a statement, such behavior is unacceptable if it happened in our sport. Under the WNBA's no space for hate policy, we trust the league to thoroughly investigate and take swift, appropriate action to ensure a safe and welcoming environment for all. There's only one problem. I'm going to get right to that. Now, let's listen to another statement they're going to release. In a coordinated effort, in an attempt to take down Fever Nation, to come after the Clark fan base, you got to keep in mind, the All-Star game is where in 2025? Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's right. And why are they alleging that all of this foolishness took place? Because the players have gotten together and concocted a scheme to move the All-Star game, as if it were possible to move the All-Star game to another arena. Why? Because the Indianapolis fan base is racist and we don't feel safe in this environment. This is what they were planning. But let's see what the WNBA, again, prior to an investigation, the WNBA releases a statement. Let's see what they have to say. The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in society. The league said in a statement per the Associated Press. They've already went to other outlets, to other media outlets, and made statements prior to that investigation. Let's continue. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter. But you already went to the Associated Press and made a statement. Why are you making statements to the Associated Press before an investigation? This is the WNBA in all of its glory. I have to ask rhetorically, how many successful organizations are there that's ran by all women? How many? I ask rhetorically, and if y'all want to take Mary Kay, I'll give you I'll give you that. I'll give you that, but name others. Successful, not subsidized. Now, this league has been subsidized since day one by the NBA. And here you have an incident break out, and before anything is established, you're already making statements. This is the WNBA in all of its glory. Now, let's look at the final statement on this, and then we're going to move to 2026. And finally, after the investigation, now is when they should have talked to the Associated Press. Now is when you start releasing statements. Now is when you start making firm announcements built on evidence. Let's see what the WNBA has to say amidst all of these allegations. The WNBA announced it could not substantiate any reports of racism during the season opening game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. What? What? Nothing. It could not substantiate any reports of racism during the season opening game, because that was the lightning rod that drove the narrative behind this story. Someone alleged a racial slur was said towards Angel Reese. Let's continue. We have investigated the report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court. Now, as we move to the 2026, I want you to pay attention to all of the angles that they have in these arenas. Ladies and gentlemen, the arenas are mic'd up. There are cameras everywhere. I can't tell you the exact number of angles and cameras that are in a NBA arena, but there are numerous. The game that we are allowed to hear it's on a muffled basis. We're allowed to hear that. You can sometimes hear in the background in maybe a player yelling or something like this, or screaming or crying when they're writhing in pain on the court, and they bring the towels out and drape them all around them so you can't see the anguish that they're going through when they're down on the floor. Sometimes if they yell enough, you'll hear it on your TV. That's how many mics are in the arena. Now, let's continue. Based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated it. Nothing happened. The stories that came out of this, the news that came out of this is unimaginable. The only problem was it was fake news because the story never happened. All of this stuff, they said that the WNBPA, the WNBA, the statements released were way ahead of the story, putting the cart before the proverbial horse. That's what the W did. And in order to get out ahead of this story, just in case they were going to put in and file for moving the WNBA All-Star game to another arena. These women are out of their mind. But this is how adamant they are about Caitlin Clark and the fan base. Notice when you hear Alyssa Thomas in the beginning, she said in 11 seasons she has been in the league. This was in 2024. That she had never seen a fan base like this that came at her the way they do. Well, Alyssa, how do you know this is from Indiana fans? And you're on social media. Most of these accounts, like when people are trying to give criticism about coaching, one coach alleges that they're bots. Keep in mind another thing, Fever Nation. When you back in 2024, guess who was coaching the Connecticut Sun? That's who the Indiana Fever in 2025 brought into our space when CeCe came there, her second season. Think about CeCe's 2024 season and think about 25 and now 26. Look how tumultuous it has been since the 2024 season. The time management, the stat management, all of these allegations that this coaching staff is trying to do with this young lady. Transformational player, best transition player in the history of the WNBA. but she was injured all of last season. Only played 13 games of 44. And of course, they want to say the Fever almost made the WNBA finals. They were, was it the finals or the WNBA finals? Almost one opportunity away. Of course, Kelsey Mitchell goes down with some type of muscle cramp that just morphed into just something that literally debilitated her before our eyes. Now, back to Caitlin Clark and this nonsense that the WNBA is pushing. The reason why I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, is as we go into the 2026 season and what just recently happened is, who are the racists? We see who has been accused of being a racist, but who are the racists? And the reason why I want to point that out as we move into the 2026 season and what has already happened this year, and we're just a little over halfway through the season. Let's jump to 2026. And finally, 2026. Now the Alyssa Thomas incident is all seared into our minds. There's no reason to visit that. I think that incident speaks and spoke for itself. We all saw what networks came to the aid of Alyssa Thomas. No one rushed to Caitlin Clark, who happened to be the victim in that incident. What media outlets came to Caitlin Clark? Did CBS, ABC, CNN, NBC, nothing but Cap News Network? Did any of them come and take Caitlin Clark's side of the story in that incident? No. They came to the side of Alyssa Thomas as if she were the victim in that incident. But let's talk about Tiff Hayes and the comments that were made in the wake of that game that they played, which CeCe landed a logo 3 and she got up on Tiff Hayes and let her know about it. Look at the vitriol that became of that. How was this post on X? How was this post allowed? Look at what this Nisi 416 says. Listen, I got some cousins. We don't speak about that. I got some cousins. We don't speak about that. We'll ride at dawn upon request. Just let me know. And Tip, only in the W. Now, this is where the majority of these WNBA players are spending their hours away from practice on social media, not working on their game. They don't think they need to improve anymore. And they're wondering why this girl is breaking all these records. Somebody is serious about the game. Somebody is serious about social media. And Tiff Hayes says, with a laughing face emoji, that's real. Imagine if that were Fever Nation making that same statement against a woman of color. Yeah, CNN would be all over this story. So I want you to, Cap News Network, Fake News Central, the most trusted news in the scrap all that and get rid of the late James Earl Jones' voice off of y'all network. You all are bottom feeders. You're pitiful. You stop it. Take James Earl Jones off y'all commercials. Y'all can't be trusted. You talking about the most trusted. Y'all can't be trusted. Now, I want to take it one more before we jump to what happened with the Aces. I want to take it one more look at some social media posts that was made in the wake of this. And Fever Nation, here's one more. Here is one more. This is all with the Tiff Hayes incident. This young lady says, I talk ish because you're never on my team, but I was ready to support your crash out. That LOL, that's fair. Why are you even responding to this? You don't even know these people, and yet they want Caitlin Clark to control her fan base. Now think about what the one we just read, and what we're about to read. But you got Chinea Gwumake, Andrea Carter, Monica McNutt, and all of these WNBA operatives talking about Cece needs to control her fan base. Listen at these comments. Listen, I'm ready to support your crash out. Your composure, let's look at the next one. Your composure was much better than mine would have been. I'll tell you that. These people are speaking violently. They're talking about putting hands on somebody. You think they're talking about being verbally abusive? No, they're talking about putting hands on somebody. And look at Tip Hayes. She just can't get enough of social media. My growth is a gift and a curse, but mostly a gift. Let's look at the next one. We were ready to take up collections if they try to find you and everything. Tiff Hayes says, my peeps. But look who is asked to control their fan base. Stop asking CC, Stephen A., all of y'all clowns. Stop asking this girl to control her fan base. Who's getting a handle on this? Where is the media? I promise you, CNN, if they could find out this was someone white, Christian, straight, they would be all over this story. Y'all have to understand what this young lady, Cece, is up against and her fan base. They've been going after this fan base since the girl came into the league. They despise, they abhor Fever Nation, Clark Nation. They don't know, they are beside themselves trying to deal with this. And then we have this incident. Let's fast forward to this incident this week. The girl can't even handle fans just chirping. Nothing said that was out of the code, the fan code of conduct. Nothing was said that was out of pocket. She just couldn't handle the chirping. They stopped the game because of this. And did you see? I may have the video. Jackie Young is going to go up to Asia Wilson and tell her what was said. She's going to whisper in her ear in front of the ref. And Asia kind of listens and just turns around and walks off. Like, is that it? Really? That's it. Now, of course, you know they got the dub. Congratulations, Aces. But they took the word. They removed 2 fans because women of color asked the fan to be removed. You see how swift they are in their response? But they drag their feet when it's CC. No one even makes a statement. The WNBA doesn't even make a statement. Kathy Engelbert has said nothing about any of this publicly. You have not seen her come out publicly and say anything, have you, throughout this entire event that we've seen recently. This is everything. And then, of course, you know, Chelsea Gray said she had a social media moment where people were saying stuff to her. Finds out in a thorough investigation, it's an Aces fan who bet on her hitting 3 3-pointers against the Fever. But they blame everything on the Fever. This is the only fan base that is held accountable. Now they'll say, well, you're the only fan base that's doing anything. They're just talking about the game. They're just adamant about their team and most of all, the player that is changing the game. $1 million question. Based on everything we've just heard, you've just saw and just heard, who are the actual races? Is it the Indiana fan base? Is it Clark Nation? Or is it the WNBA? The WNBA PA? The WNBA players? And the WNBA media operatives? They seem like more of the racists than they're accusing they seem like more of the racists than what they're accusing Indiana fans, people they don't even know, and innocently and wrongfully accusing of being racist and bigoted and misogynist and homophobic. Has there been any evidence released of such that coming from Fanbase, coming from Indiana fan? No. But here we have evidence of what's being said about Caitlin Clark and her fan base, and these people are ready to put down money. You got someone ready to ride. Just let me know. Why was it? Did y'all see that on CNN? MS Now? BS Now? Did anybody see that on that? No, because that's not the narrative that they want to push. Pay attention, people. What they show and what they choose to show. Okay? Watch how many people talk to CC. Hopefully there's not. After this last incident, cooler heads have prevailed. But if it doesn't, watch the networks that cover it and watch the ones that don't. That's all I have for you right now. I look forward to our next video. You all have a blessed day. I'm out.